Hey guys, good day. So I hope you are all doing well and surviving the planetary chaos at present. So, this February I have a Learn to Channel course running, and so I thought I would share some of the benefits of why people would want to learn to channel. Why would you want to learn to channel? So I wrote a little list down, so I will get my list out and begin to talk. So, so yeah, number one, it's kind of a path to self-realization. So, of course, if you follow Bashar and the Ayel Huai channel, they talk a lot about raising our frequency and following our highest excitement is the path to everything we desire. And so it's also like a path to awakening and self-realization. And the reason is this, because as I understand it, and this is kind of controversial. A lot of particularly non-dual speakers might disagree with this, but this is my perception and my experience to where I have evolved to on my spiritual path, that awakening, self-realization, enlightenment. And this is what Bashar says as well, and he's a very wise extraterrestrial, so take your advice where you wish to. So awakening, enlightenment, self-realization occurs when we reach a certain frequency level, a certain vibration, a certain level of joy, happiness. Like our frequency is equivalent to how much joy, happiness, bliss, expansion, creativity we express in our lives. And so when we hit a certain frequency band, when we hit a certain vibration, we begin to shift into oneness, into source consciousness, and all these amazing things that occur when we experience self-realization. So, yes, so the idea is that when we are channeling, we're connecting in kind of with a higher self, because like these beings, the ETs, extraterrestrials, angels, interdimensionals, and a lot of nature beings, they're very closely vibrationally matched to our higher self and the wisdom of our higher self, because of course they're very like in flow and on the same frequency of their higher self. So in a way, all our higher selves are one ultimately. So it's tapping into the same pool of consciousness that comes from the frequency band of our higher self. So every time we channel like an ET or an angel or a higher self, we're tapping into a very high frequency realm, very close to source consciousness, very close to the frequency of enlightenment and self-realization. And I remember when over the last few years, often I would kind of have enlightenment experiences where channeling, like I'd be channeling about the state of oneness, and I'd go into the state of oneness while I was channeling. But then when the channeling finished, I'd be back to normal reality. So it's kind of like every time we channel, we're tapping into these high frequency states, and it's slowly raising our frequency, slowly pumping us up, slowly like tuning us into this new dimension. And so this is kind of why channeling is a path to self-realization and awakening. And so I could go deeper into this, how in like Advaita Vedanta, like deeper teachings than Advaita, just the surface level stuff, is they talk about how there's the different paths, and one of these paths is, I believe, called Raja Yoga, which is connected to like Hatha Yoga, like the physical yoga exercises as well, and it's all about using energy and frequency and vibration as a path to self-realization. So the deeper teachings of Advaita Vedanta understand this as well. So learning to live it teaches us to live in the flow state. So as we shift into this new reality, we're kind of stepping out of the boundaries of our physical mind into a new way of living, where we take the guidance from a higher self, and often the path we take won't make sense to the physical mind. It'll seem like it doesn't make any sense, and like, why would I want to do this? Like if I need to survive, I need to do A, B, and C and get my money and pay my bills and get a bank account, blah 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 blah, and all like the fear-based reality of the physical mind. But as we step into like the awakened state of consciousness, we begin to operate in a completely different way. And it's all about being in the flow state, acting intuitively, from getting guidance from source consciousness, from a higher self, from God if you wish. And so it's about learning to be in the flow state. And so channeling is being in the flow state. When we're channeling, we're like directly receiving information. It's flowing through us. We're getting out of our way. We're removing our physical mind from the equation and living in the flow state. So channeling is kind of preparing us for this new reality we're all moving into, where we live in the flow state and follow our highest excitement to moment, live for our calling, our mission, and like our calling that comes from our soul, and not like what we could call a fear-based reality, which is kind of what the physical mind is, worrying about money and like blah 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 and all this stuff that destroys our lives and everyone around us because it creates negative frequencies. which serve no one. And so, yeah, it's a great way to learn about the laws of creation, to understand the laws of creation and get like kind of a mental, like, because we still need to use our minds, and it can help to have like some sort of mental framework as we move into the awakened state. And like the more we channel, the more we receive wisdom upon the nature of reality and how like reality really works. Like not dissing like the schooling system, the current schooling system, because we do learn a lot of useful stuff there, but it doesn't teach us about the nature of reality and how to navigate the new reality that we're all moving into. So we need to learn all this new information about laws of creation, the law of attraction, how life is always supporting us, you know, that we're part of creation, we're one with all of creation. It's great to have a mental framework as we go into the awakened state, because it can help alleviate the nervousness as we kind of let go and we kind of surrender to source. Like if we've got no mental framework, you know, that we're going to be okay, it's very difficult to surrender and trust that reality is going to support us. So some of the world's most important spiritual information has come through channeled teachings, specifically Ra, Bashar, and Abraham Hicks. So Ra in the Law of One, it's a series of books, the Ra material, Law of One. It's available for free online at lawofone.info. It is some of the most powerful and transformative spiritual material available on the planet. It's a lot of what you will hear. Like it seems possibly the idea of love and light originated from these Ra teachings. So what the truth behind what love and light actually means. It's not just some airy fairy like New Age saying. It is the truth of creation, that we are made of love and light, and it is our ultimate frequency. So the Ra like goes deeply into this and talks about this, the idea of the seven densities of creation, the seven rays, like octaves of creation connected to the chakra system. A lot of today's modern day spiritual teachings and a lot of the stuff that comes through in the kind of like new agey, which can seem a little bit fluffy, but it's all based, a lot of it's based in, as I understand it, seems to come from the Ra material. And one of my teachers, Bentinho Massaro, is very well known. He's very awake, very tuned in, very cool guy. A little bit controversial. He had a smear campaign against him, which was mostly a load of, as I understand it. But he's been one of my teachers, and a lot of people follow him. And he, as I understand it, got a lot of his understanding, certainly the conceptual understandings of how to navigate this reality and the law of attraction and the nature of reality, from the Ra material, from the Law of One. So it's super respected by a lot of very wise people on this planet. And Bashar, like my main teacher for many years, Bashar was kind of my introduction to spiritual awakening and spirituality, and the idea of living your highest excitement, living your passion, moment to moment. This has become quite mainstream these days, hasn't it? Like the idea that we should be living our passion, living our highest excitement. I don't think Bashar was the first person to talk about this, but he's certainly like blown it up and made it super popular. And so this idea of like learning to navigate reality through following our highest excitement and trusting that it's the guidance of our higher minds and will always be supported, a path that many of us adhere to and many of us find highly beneficial for our own lives. This came from Bashar, and Bashar is like wasn't that well known. Like I got into in 2008. What's that? 13 years ago. It's kind of like not so well known now, but Bashar's becoming pretty well known. Like one of the highest ranking interviews on Buddha at the gas pump. If you follow the back interviews, check out Buddha at the gas pump on YouTube. A lot of good spiritual interviews there. And the other one, of course, is Abraham Hicks. And Abraham Hicks coined the term. I believe she was the first person to use the term. Abraham is the entity channeled by a lady called Esther Hicks, or Abraham is the collective group mind. And Abraham and Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks, brought forward the idea of the law of attraction, the idea that we create our reality through our thoughts, through our beliefs, through the vibrational output we put out, which was, of course, popularized and made super famous by the movie The Secret, and then the book The Secret, which has become a worldwide phenomenon. I believe that The Secret was like one of the first ever online movies, and it just blew up massively. I'm sure a lot of you watching this have heard of The Secret and the idea that we create our own reality through positive thinking. And so this all stemmed, the term, the law of attraction, which they're talking about. And Esther Hicks was actually I think she got cut unbelievably from the final edition of the Secret movie, because they thought it was just too out there having like this spiritual channel. I'm sure she got cut cut from the final edition. But there was at one point the original version on YouTube, and I've seen the version where Esther Hicks appeared, like I think she was channeling Abraham in the original version of The Secret, and it was, oh, it did. I won't say it was bad, but it was a bit of a heartbreak that she was cut from the final edition of The Secret movie, I believe, because she was the original source material. She kind of, I mean, it came from a lot of different places, but it was certainly, she was a big influence for it. And the term, the law of attraction, which was kind of the buzz phrase that was made famous by The Secret movie, it was that comes from Abraham Hicks and Esther Hicks. So the idea of reality creation, positive thinking, and of course positive thinking, and the idea, this is like just becoming super mainstream. You know, Tony Robbins, big empowerment guy, is admitting more and more that he uses this kind of positive thinking in his methodologies. It's super popular in sports, sport coaching understands this to a high degree, like certainly at the highest level, that positive thoughts create positive realities, stay positive. And so like much of the positive thinking reality of today's contemporary earth existence comes from The Secret movie, which stems very much from the Abraham Hicks teachings. So who hasn't heard about positive thinking today and how it can impact our reality? So so all this information, Bashar, follow your highest excitement, follow your passion, Abraham Hicks, positive thinking, Ra, which is an underlying principle of many modern day spiritual teachings, all channeled material, channeled in the channeling state, which is what I'm teaching in the course. Check out the link below. So, great way to make a living and be free to channel. Yes, so I've been surviving in just because I had to have a break from the channeling for a while. Anyway, that's another story. But yeah, channeling is a great way to create a living in this new earth we're moving into. So as some of you have maybe noticed, the old ways of surviving, as many of us have been saying for many years, and many channels have been saying for many years, like you can't rely on the old framework. And this is why the old reality is collapsing, because we're moving into a new earth where we're supposed to be all following our highest excitement moment to moment, using positive thinking to create a money and abundance, and following our calling, our mission, and the guidance of our higher self and our soul. This is why the old reality is collapsing. It's good. It doesn't feel good, I tell you, when you got COVID and all this stuff. I tell you, I've been through that, been there, still recovering. And so but as this old reality collapses, it's because it's that we're shifting into a new earth. And like Bashar said, like I have like my most famous video on my YouTube channel, not counting like my Vice interview, but my own channel, it like got 45,000 views now, originally about 44,000. It's the video that launched my channel. It's called Everything Will Change This October. Check out my YouTube channel, most popular videos. And it talks about how everything's going to collapse. All our socio-economic systems are going to collapse. So 2016, and I think despite all the people that say blah 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 blah, I think it's quite clear now that our reality is changing, and all the socio-economic systems are beginning to collapse. And that's because it's good. It's the old reality falling away. So all we've got to do is trust, follow our highest excitement, follow our calling, trust that our reality supports us, and everything will be fine. So so channeling is a great way to live in this new earth, because it's part of our higher self's mission. If you're excited by it, if you're called to it, it's of the frequency of the new earth, and it's a great way to create income and be free, not tied to the old systems. We can do, you can run your entire career through cryptocurrency probably these days. Crypto isn't quite that evolved yet where we can quite work at that level. But, we use PayPal, Stripe, and we can pretty much remove ourselves from the whole old system and just be free and just sit down and just shut our eyes and let information come through and let the money come back. And it's a good exchange of money. We're sharing epic information that can change people's lives, and people are reflecting that by giving us money for our channeling. So it's a great way to make a living, be free, travel the world, and be part of this new earth. So final point I've got here, it's a great way to share spiritual information to a wider audience. And you might say, wider audience? What kind of wider audience is going to be into weird stuff like channeling? Well, kind of because it's so weird. Like the mainstream is picking it up, because there's all these like TV shows and internet companies that make a living by putting videos out about unusual stuff. One of them being Vice Media. As some of you probably know, I did an interview for Vice Media that they're a company that like to talk about unusual stuff, and they have like 10 million subscribers on their YouTube channel. They initially released my video on Facebook. It like got 1 million views almost overnight in a couple of days. I think like the original videos on Facebook was about 3 million views. There's loads of other copies of it, so it's probably about 5 million views. It's on their website. It's they eventually released it on the YouTube channel, which is on my YouTube channel page if you want to look. That's almost hitting 1 million views now. And so basically, because I was doing something so bizarre, I was claiming to, from their perspective, I am doing, from their perspective, claiming to channel extraterrestrials, and they're like, this guy's crazy, we've got to get him on, see what this is about. He thinks he's talking to aliens. People are going to, this could get some clicks. And so, yeah, so it did, and it did. It went almost viral. I think technically it wasn't quite viral, but it must be about 5 million views plus now overall. And so that's reached a wider audience. And while most people were like, this guy's crazy, what the bleep? What the Bleep is a great movie about all this stuff, actually, by another great channel called, what's the name? The movie What the Bleep Do We Know was based on the original information of Ramtha, who is another very famous channel. So another great way this info got out there. And so I also got picked up by a UK TV channel. Last year I appeared on UK television. I can't remember the name of the TV channel now. The series was called Unexplained, Caught on Camera. So I got on TV. I've been on Australian radio. I've been on Irish mainstream radio and Australian mainstream radio. Been on numerous podcasts. And so like the Australian mainstream radio, they were kind of like, I liked them, but they were kind of like taking the piss a bit. But that's the Australians. They always make fun of English people. You've got to get used to that. I've been to Australia with pommies. And but it wasn't in a horrible way. It was just in their kind of, juvenile Australian humour. But it got out to a super wide audience on the Kyle and Jackie O Show, which is one of Sydney's biggest radio shows. I got on Ireland's, one of Ireland's biggest radio shows, the Niall Boylan Show. And basically, because like if I was just like talking about Buddhism or something, everyone's like, oh, because everyone's heard about this for so many years now. I love Buddhist teachings, by the way, nothing against them, but to a lot of mainstream people, it's kind of boring. But this guy believes he can talk to aliens, and so it's kind of gone viral worldwide what I've been doing. And so while a lot of people don't believe it, it's still opening the doorway. It's still affecting them on some level. And because this is all real, and because everyone's going through a spiritual awakening, ultimately because it's the whole purpose of an earth incarnation, the whole purpose of reality in a way, it will benefit them in some way at some time. It's opening the doorway. It's creaking the door open. While they're saying, no, I don't believe this, they wouldn't be saying that if they weren't unsure. They'd just turn it off instantly if they thought it was nonsense. So every person that says, I don't believe this is nonsense, blah, 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 especially the ones that get really irate and start going blah, 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 that's because they're actually kind of getting triggered, and there's a part of them that's worried that it might be true and worried that their entire paradigm, their entire belief system is actually kind of false, and worried that they might be like some kind of loser because like they're wrong about things. And so this is why they get triggered. So when people are getting really irate and sending you comments on your messages and your videos, it's actually because it's not because they don't believe, it's actually because they maybe do believe, and on some level they're thinking, shit, maybe my whole reality's a lie. Fuck, I'm gonna have to abuse this guy to convince myself that it's not a whole lie. And so while this may seem bad, and some people on my YouTube channel that started off being a little bit hostile towards me have actually come to be quite good followers and kind of quite good friends, because they were like, this is crap, this is shit, this is bullshit, and then after a while they're like, maybe it's not. So when people are getting irate, that's a good sign, because it shows we're like creeping in there and their belief system is starting to change and say, perhaps this is real. Oh my god, my whole reality is collapsing. And so this is good, because they probably won't open up straight away, but over time, like this is they'll something else will hit them and they'll be like, whoa, maybe there is something to this reality. So it's causing the awakening in the whole of humanity. So yeah, I wanted to make this a short video, like 4 or 5 minutes, so it didn't happen. So my Learn to Channel course is running throughout February. Check out the link below, jonathantrinity.com/channel. More information about it there, and I'll see you in another now, guys, in an infinite parallel reality. Have a wonderful day, guys. Shivai.